They made me dig the pit myself. Not for a body. For the wood. It had to be perfect, they said. A holy symmetry. Wide enough for air. Deep enough for heat. I remember wondering, while my hands bled on the spade, why no one questioned how holy things required such precision and suffering. The morning was cold, but the sweat down my back itched like fever. There were eyes on me the whole time. Not from the clergy. Not from guards. From the children. They watched through the slats in the fencing. Not crying. Not laughing. Just staring. Their mouths still chewed bread as if nothing unusual was happening. The ground was hard, but not frozen, and that somehow made it worse. It gave too easily. The dirt welcomed my work like it had been waiting for someone to kneel and carve it open. By midday, I could smell the wood they brought. Not fresh. It had that bitter, sour scent of rot and dampness. Bark that peels off like skin. It hissed when touched by the sun. They made me stack it carefully, each log placed by hand, like building an altar. When I turned to ask if it was enough, I caught the eye of the priest. He didn't blink. He just nodded. Slow. Like blessing a harvest. I wasn't let inside. I was locked inside. The cell was small. The stone walls wept. Not in streams, just single droplets, sliding slowly like they didn't want to leave the rock. My feet left prints in the straw-covered floor. That meant it had been dry once. That meant someone else had been here before me. The only sound was the echo of my breath. It didn't echo when I inhaled. Only when I exhaled. That still haunts me. The night before, they brought me bread. It was soft in the center, like someone had cared enough to bake it properly. I didn't eat it. Not because I had lost hope. Because it tasted like smoke. Not real smoke, memory smoke. That sharp phantom smell that comes before wood ever touches fire. I held it in my lap until it cooled. And still, I waited for someone to come and say they changed their mind. But no one did. At sunrise, the door didn't creak open. It unlocked with the softest click. The kind you only hear when you're straining not to. I stepped outside barefoot. Not by choice. Just because I forgot how to choose. The world was gray. The sky, the dirt, the robes of the crowd, everything felt dipped in soot. They didn't bind my hands. They just walked beside me, quiet, like a procession for a bride. I could hear someone crying, softly. I didn't know who it was until I realized. It was me. The square wasn't full, but it didn't need to be. The ones who were there, they weren't angry. They were tired. Tired in the bones. They didn't even look at me. Just the wood. The priest stepped forward. He asked me to confess. Not to the crime. To the sin. I asked which one. He said, the one you know. I looked up at the sky. It was the only thing that hadn't changed. Then I stepped into the circle. The logs were wood at the base. Someone had poured water there to slow it down. I understood what that meant. They wanted the fire to speak slowly. Not in a roar, but in whispers. When they lit the torch, I didn't watch it touch the wood. I watched the faces. Not the crowd. The ones behind the priest. The ones in robes darker than shadow. They didn't smile, but their mouths twitched like the moment before a yawn or a lie. Like they were swallowing something that had no name. The first breath of smoke rose like a question. Thin, unsure, testing the air. It didn't sting. Not at first. The worst part wasn't the heat, or the rising sting in my lungs. It was the waiting, because the fire didn't come up from beneath me. It circled, slow, cautious, almost polite, like it wanted permission. The smoke clung to my skin like memory. It didn't rise. It pressed down, and I remember thinking, this is what judgment smells like. Someone shouted a word. I couldn't hear it. It felt like sound had been pulled backward, swallowed into the sky. That was when the fire moved. It didn't leap. It curled, snaked up the edges like it didn't want to wake anyone. The robes of the priest shifted in the breeze. He didn't look at me. He looked through me, and for a moment, just one, I thought I saw myself standing beside him. Not burning, not screaming, just watching. And in that second, I didn't feel the fire. I felt cold. The cold of being seen, fully, without shelter. Then the wood cracked, loud, sharp, like a laugh from something with no throat. And the warmth hit my back in waves, each one louder than the last. The air became serum, thick, slow, coated in ash that stuck to the inside of my teeth. My hands didn't move. They weren't tied. They simply forgot how. Voices blurred into tones. Nothing had words anymore. And then I heard her. My mother. Not her real voice. The voice I remembered as a child. The one that said, stay near the light. The one that hummed when there were no candles left. That's when I closed my eyes. Not from pain, from recognition. Because the fire didn't scream. It whispered. Not, you're wrong. Not, you're guilty. Not even, you're finished. Just, I was always here.